All right, well, here I am. Hey, everybody. It's Brian, Break Sick Education. It's our Tuesday, Wednesday podcast, somewhere around there. Hope everyone's doing well. The week could be better, really. A lot of changes in the U.S., unfortunately, and a lot of changes in my own family, and so we're working those things out day at a time. It's going to be the new paradigm for in the short or long term. Not ignorant to the fact that I'm no longer spring chicken, and careers getting to the point where it's like, where's it going? And so other family members are running into the same issue. And so if I start streaming for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, you'll kind of understand why. I'm not saying that I would be laid off, but things happen. So we're keeping an eye out on the job markets and keeping an eye out for anything. If you're looking for a fantabulous, this just came across the news desk. If you're looking for a nice strategic business leader who is kick-ass and can get shit done, my wife may be in the market. So please feel free to reach out. I will, post up her LinkedIn if you are interested in talking with her. She's done amazing work, and she is currently looking for something new to occupy her time. And so that is what's what the deal is. And so we're wrangling with that here in the Break Sec house. So there was a lot of news, and welcome to everybody who's on. I'm sorry I'm a little late. I realized that I had not. Apparently, I'm guessing my audio probably sounded like shit the last few days. Didn't realize that when I remade all of my profiles in OBS, it would also strip off some of the filters and the plugins and things. So when I moved to my Mac, which I'm at like 4% right now. So thankfully I've got the power cable right here that I can plug right in, or I wouldn't have survived. So what I'm trying to do is just kind of let it do its own thing until it gets down to 0% battery, and then I charge it back up, so that I don't have to worry about that. So it's a fun thing. So there was a lot of news that we didn't discuss on the Sunday show. If you missed the Sunday show, Miss Berlin, Mr. Betcher, and I sat down and talked about some of the things that are going through other people's lives. Miss Berlin is getting married. She, her and her fiance or significant other are gonna tie that knot again for both of them. And she got a promotion, so she's the product manager over at Blue Mirror now, which is great. They are makes complete sense that they would invest in somebody internally and somebody who's been there for a long time and understands the product. So I'm very happy for Miss Berlin that she was able to make that happen. And so that was a lot of great discussion there, and I hope you take a look at that. Oh, by the way, boot.dev, by the way, let's see, we talked about that, I don't know, Friday, but let me see. There we go. This was mentioned by Walt, CPO Parker. Excellent. So far, I'm really enjoying the format of learning Python. Now, to be fair, I have learned Python in the past, and so there are things that are much the same, so things that I've seen before. So, I mean, it's some review. I think the problem that I have with learning a language is finding ways to use it. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep an eye out on, okay, everything. Trying to listen to see what's going on, making sure my Twitch is stable and make sure my YouTube is stable. So it is, I don't know, how would you put it, like almost like a mud or something like that, where you're learning Python, but at the same time you're learning the pieces necessary to build yourself a text-based role-playing game. Very similar to Zork or any of those, where it's like let me see, where's Zork? For those of you kids back in the days, it was like a choose your own adventure game or something like that. So you have, let me see, Kriznap. So let me see. Yeah. So one of the deal is, you're standing in front of an open field, in front of a White House. There's a small mailbox here. Ideally, as you keep walking through the adventure and doing certain actions, you get further and further in the game. I will say that I also have not finished Zork. Keep getting eaten by a Gru, which sucks. Yeah. So. But yeah, I like this though, because it is definitely a nice way to move through and understand how to grab somebody's attention. And there's rewards. So there's daily rewards, very similar to Hack the Box or Try Hack Me or what have you. They're more of an RPG bent, which is kind of what I'm all in on right now. So you can create quests. Like right now, I'm going to quest to earn 2,000 XP in the next 24 hours. And they have various levels. So if you think you can only do 500 XP in 24 hours, by solving the various puzzles, you get so much XP. So, and then there's XP boosts. So if you want to use an XP boost right here, so there's an XP potion, which will give you 25% more XP for an hour. So assuming you can solve as many as you can, you're going to get that much more XP per hour. So layers upon layers upon layers, and it's it seems fairly logically laid out, where you're learning your variables and your functions and your scopes and your testing and debuggings. So they're not paying me to sponsor this. This is not the sponsor part of the show. This is not the sponsor part of the show. So if you are interested in taking a look at this, if you want to learn, I think they have Python, I think they have Go. Let's see, what else do they have? Python, Go. You can just straight up learn Linux if you wanted to. Git. 24 courses. 24 courses, 9 projects, 50 plus videos over 12 months. And they have different package ratings, and there's a code you can, there are probably discount codes on the internet if you wanted to figure out where to get those. Sorry. You can learn Git. So, most developers put their code in a code repo. Knowing the proper commands to be able to put your code in said repo is probably a good thing. You can learn Kubernetes. So if you want to, containerize all the things, or cubes all the things, you can do that. Pub sub architecture. That's an interesting one. Cryptography. I find it ironic that this is the longest of any of them. So there's 127 required. Jesus. There is 127 lessons on learning cryptography. And then you have algorithms, which one of the reasons I'm trying to relearn Python is part of my longer work in trying to get knowledge in machine learning and AI from a security point of view. It's probably the long way of doing it. I could probably just go find a bunch of YouTube videos and get spun up on that, but feels like if I want to have that deep knowledge, you kind of want to understand more of the concepts behind that. So things like algorithms is going to be important. There's various algorithms here: dynamic programming, editing distance, linear programming. So yeah, looking forward for that. I thought he said Go was in here as well. Somebody had the guy had mentioned Go here. Let me see. There's building a Pokedex. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that with Python, but REPL, cache, and a Pokedex. Okay. And then SQL, of course. SQL, of course, will help you with not just SQL databases, but basic querying language for GraphQL, or kind of helps you understand the business there. So anyway, boot.dev, boot.dev. Maybe I should reach out and see if they want to sponsor the podcast or the stream. So what do you want? What? You want to get up here? There you go. Okay. What are you doing? Now. Anyway, so I probably don't want to put the lessons up on there. I showed one, but I figured that wasn't going to hurt anything because it's part of the free stuff. So, but yeah, it was. It's taken me through various parts here, like Chat AI bot, or yeah. So run the code. It's very similar actually to TryHackMe or Hack the Box, where you have an area that will run the code, and then you can actually ask for help if you want to. I'm assuming you get less points. I haven't had to click that yet because I've so far been okay and have submitted everything. But yeah, and then you have, if you frozen flames, so you can protect your streak if you want to by earning enough money or earning enough, XP in the day to get that happen. So thanks to Walt again for, suggesting it. It's scratching a particular itch right now with regards to idle games and stuff. Oh, and I can shop. What do I get this? So I have 22 gems. It's like an RPG or something. You can stop and shop, I get 6 gems so I can get a potion to gain temporary XP, or armor to protect your sharpshooter spree from being broken, a baked salmon. Feed boots a baked salmon to ask for help without an XP penalty. Okay, so if you ask for help or solution, or use the struggling bit down there at the bottom, you take an XP hit. Seer stone, consume a seer stone to view a solution without an XP penalty. Okay, so there you go. And then frozen flame. All right, so and you can also sell gems, so it's very, very cool. Anyway, so pull the curtain back a little bit. This is our show notes for our outlines that I've been trying to do. The last few shows of the year was a little less rigid, but there was a number of things that we had on the list here. I like to give options for Miss Berlin, Mr. Betcher, just in case they haven't from various sides. So we talked about the Telegram leaks. So yeah, we talked about some of these things, but we didn't talk about all of them. So I thought we'd catch some of the ones that didn't pop up. So let me go see. Oh, this one was funny. Somebody had posted up me not affected by the TikTok ban because I never even downloaded the app. I made the point of, by banning TikTok, we're moving people to something worse. And I think at the time, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to go use RedNote, which there has been some stories online about RedNote and its data collection. And so, according to NBC, I think a lot of them are saying it could pose an even bigger security risk because it is, there's technology experts worry the RedNote poses more of a threat to security and privacy than TikTok does, and it's the reason for the potential ban. Concern American, whatever freaking Congress critters, whatever. Somebody did a write-up on it on how well it protects people. Let me see. There we go. So I know somebody had done one on it. Let's see. Cybersecurity experts issued a warning amid people moving over to RedNote due to TikTok being potentially banned in the U.S. on January 19th, which happened, but then unhappened because stupid things and people. So Zhao Hongshu Little Red Book, currently number one free app in the United States as American seekers seek TikTok alternatives. Several privacy concerns have been raised regarding its use as expert. Oh, yeah, okay. Security expert works at NordVPN. I got kind of a thing about that coming up next as well. So yeah, they say it's subject to Chinese data laws, which may grant government authorities access to user data without the privacy protections expected in the US. There is a potential for that. I think if you're posting stuff up to TikTok or any social media, you're already being monitored, whether it be Meta, whether it be Instagram, whether it be whatever. You're already giving up some privacy. If you're concerned about location data or something like that, it's a valid concern. I mean, it's if you're TikToking or Instagramming and you don't want people to know where you live, we've seen examples where other social media influencers have been doxxed by something as simple as having a unique sink in their bathrooms. I think I even mentioned that not 1 then 2 years ago, where one of the YouTube influencers, somebody found out where he lived in Florida based on a really specific sink in his house. And so they say the platform collects extensive personal data, including location, browsing activities, device-specific information like IP addresses, can be shared to third-party service providers or government authorities, raising concerns about user privacy. Is there anything on a phone that doesn't already collect device-specific information like IP addresses or sharing your data with third parties anyway? I mean, Instagram already does that, right? Meta already probably does that. If they don't, they share some kind of aggregated data with that already. They're going to have to give us more, I think, if they're going to really strike fear into people not using RedNote. And somebody, Warmanhoven, suggested a red flag is the lack of transparency in its terms and conditions. Okay, so we're worried about. Okay, so I wonder how long I've been talking, and nobody's hearing me. So, well, we'll just continue on, and I'll just blank that part out later. So, God. 1 second. There we go. Okay, 2 viewers. All right. Well, you both must be bots or lurkers. So, please feel free to let me know if that happens again, so that I can fix it. Lurkers and/or chatbots. So, thank you very much. Don't know when that went down, but yeah, thanks. Thank you in advance when you tell me again. Okay. Cool. So going back to my previous point, because I don't know where I lost audio on this, is the terms and conditions are in Mandarin, right? So when was the last time anybody actually read their terms and conditions for anything that they use? I think the only people that actually read terms and conditions are people who are lawyers or privacy people. And so I'm thinking they're going to have more than just, you can't read the terms and conditions. Transparency is not going to win over any people saying, oh, I probably shouldn't use RedNote. I mean, it would be nice, but I don't see that ever happening. So I'm going to move this over here. There we go. And so aside from privacy concerns, content censorship. Now, that could be one thing that would woo people out of RedNote if they were censoring certain speech or certain content because of China's policies on things like homosexuality or political opinions, or if somebody starts spouting off, Chinese related things that they don't want, folks in China to know about. I could definitely see that if they were trying to censor those kinds of input in that respect. He said, given these risks, Americans should think twice about switching to RedNote. One, Americans is really, anybody age 13 to 19, I think. The demographic that is worried about that, yeah. I'm not seeing it. And as we know with the Streisand effect, calling attention to it or saying you can't do something just makes it that much more popular. So they're going to have to figure out messaging that's going to really strike fear into RedNote, other than don't use this. The terms and conditions can't be read, and you should be really worried about the transparency there. It's just not it. Black helicopters are going to come and bomb your house if you use RedNote. Sure, prove it. That kind of thing. So that's my overarching thoughts on that. I think it's interesting. So the other thing, because I lost about $15,000 this week, was DeepSeek. Yeah, DeepSeek. So something I've figured out in the last, decade. Bigger, faster, cheaper. Seems like in security you pick one or two at the most, 1.5 maybe. Cheaper, faster, better. Pick 1.5. And so DeepSeek really pooched it for a lot of companies this week because the original news story came out that they figured out how to outperform ChatGPT and do it faster, better, and lower power requirements, lower resources. And this came out today, which I hope you understand the irony of my laughing when I read this, but OpenAI says it has evidence that DeepSeek used its model to train competitors. And I actually mentioned I mentioned it on Reddit or whatever, but it was like OpenAI is complaining that somebody's stolen their content, is using it in their AI. Obviously, if I have to explain the joke, it's not funny. So if you have any questions about that joke, please feel free to put up it in chat. So, but yeah, it was interesting to see the irony here, where AI is saying, OpenAI is saying, it's artificial intelligence startup, used proprietary models to train its own open source competitor. Stocks took a shit. Anything having to do with AI or is mentioning AI as its guiding principles or North Star or whatever bullshit in the last few years. But so yeah, stocks tumbled on DeepSeek. And yeah, people, they've been talking about the AI bubble for about the past 3-6 months. I know that Microsoft has got, what do they call that? They have earnings calls in the next few days. Stocks went down on Monday because of DeepSeek. They say that it was a new and low-cost model into the red-hot AI tech market. Some of these companies have leveraged Hey, Archon. Jevons paradox is at play with DeepSeek. Just like with NASA and SpaceX, it's always cheaper and easier when all the heavy lifting and investments came before and you work with much less risk than the originators. Right. And in many cases, there's a lot. Yeah, so I have full disclosure. I have NVIDIA stock. I've never worked for NVIDIA. I'm about to get rid of a bunch of computers that have NVIDIA chipsets in them. Microsoft was down heavily. Amazon was down heavily. Google was down. That's okay. NVIDIA is a great chip, but I've moved over to my MacBook for all my work. I'm trying to simplify my office and simplify my streaming rig and everything. So I went to a nice M4 Max Silicon instead of an Intel box. Not because I can't use Windows 11. They all use Windows 11. And I don't want to use Linux. So it is what it is. But yeah, all these companies got their asses kicked, and I saw that even Meta had a war room because they're getting their asses whooped. War room. DeepSeek. Yeah, so according to futurism, but I read this on another article, but yeah, they said Zuckerberg is scrambling after a small Chinese startup called DeepSeek turned Silicon Valley upside down with a chatbot. The company's latest R1 AI model can run circles around the competition from Meta, OpenAI, and Anthropic at a tiny fraction of the cost. So it's interesting because we had just talked about within the last month or two that Microsoft, Google, and Amazon had all signed deals with nuclear reactor providers, like small modular nuclear power reactors. And Microsoft had actually signed with the company that owns 3 Mile Island, which is a nuclear reactor in 3 Mile Island, to restart its reactor with the idea of helping to offset some of the costs of data center costs, because so 3 Mile Island is Pennsylvania, Londonderry Township, Pennsylvania. Yeah, thanks, Archon. Yeah, so there was a story that like they're going to use 2.7 terawatt hours a year, and that's only expected to go up because of the emergence of AI. So these companies are going to be charging out the ass, and they're going to be using a ton of power. And so the idea was that the nuclear power is going to help offset some of the costs or help shore up infrastructure, when they decide they want to turn everything on and do whatever. Very similar to when blockchain and Bitcoin mining was a thing. Whole farms started up near hydroelectric plants because dams gave nice cheap power, right? In this case, let's make some contracts with some nuclear power folks and get some reactors. Apparently, China is able to do this at a fraction of the cost with not as much power being used, or compute in this case. And so, again, OpenAI says, oh, they borrowed our stuff. We have evidence saying that they did it. What happens is OpenAI probably got owned or hacked in some way. That's my guess. I don't have any direct evidence to suggest that, but some of the targets for China is often IP, intellectual property, and so if they publish their OpenAI as open source, or they're able to build upon or reverse engineer. Hello, Legend. I thought Elon Musk sued ChatGPT. I don't know. It's not really relevant to the discussion here, I don't think. But I don't know if you've got an article on Elon suing ChatGPT. We can hear it. So yeah, OpenAI. So, and Microsoft put like $5 billion inside of OpenAI, and then all that shit with Sam Altman and whatever came about, and that got fixed. And so, so according to this, I don't have any somebody said this. I didn't actually read this article, but IP theft could have occurred. There's a technique in AI called distillation. So there's something for you security folk. When one model learns from another model and it kind of sucks the knowledge out of the parent model. Okay, so one AI created a prompt that the other AI could pull that data down. So tell me about yourself. It's basically like speed dating, right? For AIs, one AI says to another, tell me about yourself. And the other one's like, blah. And so it could be that's what happened. I don't know who the hell David Sachs is. The fact that he's a crypto czar. Stupid. Yeah, exactly. Archon, AI taking jobs from AI. Well, most people, most actors in Hollywood are like British and stuff. I mean, if you watching a movie the other day, I was like, wait, he's British. She's from Australia. Wait, where's the American actors? That kind of thing. I was just fucking around, but yeah, I mean, there's very few people that are exactly. So yeah, they instead of copying one another, and I think you might have saw some articles like that. They said, yeah, one AI copied the other, and I was like, no, they didn't copy them. It was probably something similar, like distillation. So DeepSeek says it uses just 2,048 NVIDIA H800 graphics cards and spent $5.6 million to train its V3 model with 671 billion parameters, a fraction of what OpenAI and Google spent to train comparably sized models. Some experts said the model generated responses that indicated it had been trained on outputs from OpenAI's ChatGPT-4, which would violate its terms of service. Man, I'm betting China's like sweating that, violating ChatGPT-4's terms of service. They're shaking in their boots. Damage is done. What is China going to say? Oh, our bad. Here's some money. Yeah, China don't give a shit. China's a honey badger here, Insiders say it's common practice for AI labs to use outputs from companies such as OpenAI. US AI companies were using inputs from people who didn't want their data stolen either, or their stuff stolen either. So it sucks, but that's just the way of things, right? And then somebody will steal, DeepSeek and do something else with it in a more effective and efficient manner. So I don't know what to tell them. Your shit got stole. Whoops. It's not the darling it was. I mean, turnabout's fair play. What's stopping OpenAI from taking DeepSeek and improving upon its improvements? I don't know. I did make the joke that looks like somebody stole Docker's icon, because it's a whale and then it's got some kind of blah thing right there. I don't know if that's a tongue or paint smear. I don't know. But yeah, so. We engage in countermeasures to protect our IP, including a careful process for which frontier capabilities to include released models, and believe it is critically important that we are working closely with the U.S. government to best protect the most capable models from efforts by adversaries and competitors to take U.S. technology. I really don't have any... I'm not feeling bad for OpenAI. I'm not feeling bad for ChatGPT. I'm not feeling bad for any of these companies that have already legitimately stolen, stuff from people in the US. And it was more of a opt out instead of an opt in. It's like, they're all unhappy and sad now because their shit got stolen. I'm like, you weren't unhappy and sad when you were stealing other people's shit. So fuck y'all, I'm just gonna say that. So yeah, see, OpenAI is battling. I love it that they buried the lead here at the very bottom of this article with this paragraph. It's battling its own copyright infringement from newspapers and content creators, including lawsuits from the New York Times and prominent authors who accuse the company of training its models on their articles and books without permission. I mean, come on, man. It's like, really, it's hard to find. It's hard to give a shit about you people when you did this to people already. So, yeah, I forgot. I cannot copy paste from this keyboard. I can't copy paste from any keyboard into OBS's Stream Chat overlay box. Oh well. So going back to the Red Note VPN stuff, one of the things that I saw was from Soul Cyber, written by Paul Ducklin. If you don't know who Paul Ducklin is, veteran in the space here. He's been around forever. He's out of Auckland, New Zealand, I think. Heard him several times on Risky Business podcast. I think I want to say he works for. I don't want to say he works for Cyber CX. That's Adam Boileau. Let me go see where Mr. Ducklin works. He's a Duck Blog on Twitch, on Twitter. He's on he works for Sophos, security proselytizer for Sophos, looks like. But he's been in the industry for a long time, well respected. So if you've watched our stream, we'll never have NordVPN support us as a sponsor, which, hopefully that will give you enough impetus to support us, because we don't support, NordVPN. But NordVPN has an idea on how they think they make everybody more secure and safe. They do, right? They do, but they don't. And I think people get a VPN and they're safe, right? There's been a lot of lookups for things like VPNs in the state of Florida and Texas, where Pornhub just got banned. Not saying causality is causation, but other people are making that suggestion. Yeah. Report by VPN Mentor found interest in VPN skyrocketed as the leading internet pornography publisher publicly punished states. Wow, that is looks like a internet's leading pornography publisher publicly punished states over age verification policies. Interest jumped by 1,150% immediately after Pornhub started limiting access on January 1st. And of course, everybody's asking, are they secure? They kind of are, but they kind of aren't, right? If you're worried about your ISP potentially snooping on your data, that is a thing. Though the one thing I like to remind people, especially my own family members who might have engaged in some of this stuff, is the VPN's got to come out of someplace. And somebody asked the same question recently about email. It's like, what about Proton Mail? Proton Mail good? And I'm like, yeah, Proton Mail's great. What are you looking for? If you're looking for it to be email, it's great for email. If you're looking for secure communications, it's only as good as until you send the email from Proton Mail to Gmail. Once you've sent it from Proton Mail to Gmail, once it gets to Gmail, it's going to get scanned. It's going to get picked up by whatever you're trying to potentially block in many cases, or whatever malware is loaded on somebody's box or phone or what have you. That's why end-to-end is so important, right? When Zoom was talking about, we're end-to-end communication or whatever, and then find out, oh no, Zoom is sending stuff to a server and then that server's forwarding it to another person instead of it being a direct, point-to-point, E-to-E, end-to-end communication that is secure. They had to change what they were doing. Same thing here. A VPN is secure. You can use whatever TLS you want, great. You're still going from your computer to another server. That server is not in your state. It's not your ISP. So your ISP allows you to communicate out to the rest of the world still, ask me in about 6 months, that server could be in another country that allows for access to whatever servers you want. I think back in the day before streaming allowed for Doctor Who to be seen, I had friends who bought VPNs so they could VPN into England and then use their Sky account that they used to set up illegally to watch Doctor Who before everyone else could. Same thing if you want to get around geo-blocking or what have you. VPNs are great for that stuff. If you want to get around not being able to look at Pornhub, that's definitely something you can do. Let's see what he said. Yeah, 2-part series: history of VPNs, non-virtual private networks. Why not go virtual? There's various different types of VPNs. This is a great primer if you have people in your life, or maybe workmates or management is like, hey, we should, why aren't we using VPNs, or why are we going VPN-less? There's zero trust, right? Zero trust isn't just a protocol. It's not just an implementation. It's actually not having any trust in the distant end, or the distant end having any trust in the user. So you have to prove who you are, what you say you are. So in this case, they're giving you a history. Paul Ducklin's giving you a history of different protocols: L2TP, IPsec, SSTP. I think once we hit SSL VPNs or TLS VPNs, we hit like the most widely used. If you've used Cisco AnyConnect or similar, a lot of those run over TLS. Just makes a TLS connection between two machines, and then that's a tunneling protocol, TLS, transport layer security, and then the pipe goes through that. Lesser protocols, you can use SSH to make a tunnel using like remote port forwarding, or you can just send anything you want through there to make that happen. So SSH VPNs are a thing, so you can VPN over SSH. This is probably a little dated, but maybe not. But if you want to, create a VPN over SSH, I might have done it once or twice to get around some blocks on a work computer, so that I could, way back in the day, not on my current company job. And then when I finally set up SSH VPN, I was using a SOCKS proxy at the distant end that would automatically forward my web searches through somewhere else, so that those searches did not get seen by my workplace, which is still a very valid way of doing things. It's actually quite a bit easier if I wanted to do it here, because I'm on a computer over here for work, a computer over here for personal. I have my work computer isolated on a wireless network that is different from the rest of my network. I could SSH from one box into my public IP address back to this box, set up a SOCKS proxy, and then forward everything over. And then it would look like I SSH'd out to an IP address on the internet. And then while I'm forwarding things through that SSH tunnel, they can't see the stuff inside the tunnel. Which is great. I'm sure Ducklin's going to go through and talk about like split tunnel, full tunnel VPNs. Even your own companies may use a split tunnel VPN. There's some security hazards behind that versus full tunnel. IP addresses could get leaked. As a matter of fact, I think we had our good friends on talking about that. Leviathan security. VPN security. Tunnel vision. Yeah, we had the folks talking about tunnel vision. Lizzie Marati and Danny on talking about, leaking routes on your VPN connection if you're not using proper VPN setup. So yeah, I mean, even with a VPN setup, if it's not set up properly, you're going to leak information. You may leak, DNS lookups. You may leak WebRTC IP addresses. You could leak any kind of information that will let people know where you're going, and that's why things like Tor, and that's why things like, not IPP, other networks that obscure your traffic like Tor. You have to set them up a certain way if you want maximum security or maximum privacy. So question, if I'm receiving OTP on my email, does it sense my location when using VPN on a restricted website? I don't know, that's a good question. Any of the other people on the chat here know that? I have received OTP on my email from time to time. Does it sense my location? Are you asking if the OTP or the senses your location that way? Because I could definitely see, like, if you're checking your email in a different location, or somebody has your email open and gets an email in Brazil or Paraguay and you're not there, then I don't think it's going to know, right? If you have your email open in two different places, one of which is not where you are, I don't think OTP is smart enough to know that. I think I have noticed when I travel from San Diego, like to New York, I have to put all my passwords back in again because it does recognize that I'm in a different location from when I logged in the last time. Some sites are actually getting smart like that. Reddit did it, Blue Sky, my bank, obviously. So they wanted me to verify who I was again because I'm not logging in where I would normally log in, from what IP address I would log in from. So, but OTP, yeah, if it's coming in through email and you're using like a Gmail or something, I don't think it's going to realize that you're not, that it wasn't sent, or you're not on that email, and you might be checking your Gmail from, Istanbul or something. But yeah, so good discussion here on hiding in plain sight. Let me see, possible travel in just 4 minutes. In the screenshots, I rocketed myself from my laptop from gentle Oxfordshire countryside. Oh, so he's moved to England. Okay, 2 more an hour and away from the closest international airport, all the way to upstate New York, somewhere near Lake Erie. Of course. Abruptly, I stopped being one of a few possible users on a genuinely local area network in England and turned into one amongst millions of concurrent users on some VPN, who all appeared to be in the same part of the northeastern US. Yeah, pseudo-anonymity and location hiding is exactly the outcome that popular services pitch to consumers as cybersecurity benefit. Pseudo-anonymity, pseudo being fake anonymity, and location hiding. Neither one of those say security in them. Privacy, yes. I mean, if you want to visit, a site that is blocked in your state, that's exactly what you're doing. You're locate hiding. You're doing some pseudo-anonymity. Why give away your home and where your home is when you can legally and conveniently give the impression of being in Canada, Cape Town, Canberra, or California? Exactly. Why not disguise your location to thwart intrusive tracking and targeting that modern websites love to carry out? There's that too. And depending on where it thinks you're from, you'll either get ads from that country, or you won't get ads at all because that country doesn't allow for obtrusive ads. So that the problem is, and as we've seen with, even bad actors, they go years doing everything they need to correctly to maintain their OPSEC, maintain their anonymity, maintain where their location is. So they'll get on a computer, they'll set up their VPN, they'll do blah, 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 blah. They'll do that for years. Nothing goes wrong because they do everything right. What happens is, I need to get in. I don't have everything with me. Well, I'll just do it for 5 minutes. And so they get in, then they log in with their credentials for their nefarious shit without a VPN or something like that. And that's when law enforcement gets them, because they can dump those logs and say, okay, well, same IP. Okay, we got IP addresses, person, there was activity here. Wait a minute, here's a different IP. Oh, that's in outer Kazakhstan, and the person logged in, and here's the credentials and whatever. That one time you mess up and you're done. We've seen that numerous times where somebody, all they did was log in one time wrong, or maybe their VPN didn't turn on like they thought, and they thought they had their VPN on and it didn't work, and they're doing everything in the clear, or doing everything not pseudo-anonymized or not location hiding. They got every time. So How safe is a VPN? Good question, Mr. Duckland. Can it exist? Can it replace existing cybersecurity products you're using, thus saving you time and money? Maybe. Oh, he's stopped at part 2. Wait, does he have part 2? Oh, part 2's on here too. Okay, good. Okay, so other side of the world, yeah. How anonymous are you? Hiding your location and your local ISP and mobile phone provider. We had somebody on, I don't know, 5-6 years ago that was talking about their ISP in Canada, Rogers, that was injecting ads when they would visit non-HTTPS sites. Now, there are far fewer non-HTTPS sites now, but if you went to a site that didn't have HTTPS enabled, they have the technology to inject HTML code inside of the pages that are loading on people's computers and serve up banner ads. And he had examples of that at the time. He's one of the authors of Defensive Security Handbook, by the way. Lee Brotherston, Mr. Brotherston, Amanda Berlin, and William Rayer. So Lee Brotherston was one who we had on talking, and he was talking about that, as I want to say back in 2016. It's been a few years. Like I said, HTTPS, TLS connections are far more ubiquitous and cheaper now, and a lot of organizations get it out of habit. But for the sites that you can do that in, sometimes they will intercept your TLS connections, crack them, and then they can insert things too. But that's another whole different problem. It's just when I see the NordVPN commercials and they talk about, oh, how they're, you've got your white dude in a hacker, hoodie and whatever, and I'm like, it's not really protecting you from that person necessarily. You're more likely to use a VPN to protect yourself from your own ISP or from your workplace. If you install a VPN connection on your work machine to get around firewall requirements or like no visit site you can't visit or something like that. Any unencrypted traffic you send from your computer and any replies received unencrypted from the other end are of necessity visible in their entirety to your VPN service, just as they are to the owner of the access point at your local coffee shop, to the sysadmins on your network, or your own ISP. That's right. If it doesn't go through your VPN, it can be seen. Oh, you're back again. Now, there are a number of VPN services that, excuse me, get off the keyboard. Okay, you're genius. If you want to sit on the paper, go sit on the paper. See, you can sit on the paper now. See, sitting on the paper. VPNs are great, but if you're trying to anonymize yourself with the idea that I'm going to do nefarious shit when I'm using it, you need to think again, because a lot of VPN services keep logs, right? So if you're trying to be secure, there's always an audit trail. Even if they say they don't keep the logs, they keep the logs, because there's a lot of VPN services that still have to comply with lawful law enforcement orders, regardless of where they are, if they're in Switzerland or wherever. Matter of fact, there was a story that came out a few years ago about I think somebody was using a VPN service in Switzerland with the idea that that was never keeping logs. Or they said they didn't keep logs, and they may actually don't keep logs. But because it was a criminal investigation, they were ordered to either start collecting logs based on certain times a day or something like that, and turn those logs over to people. So whatever data was coming out of the server and going to www.evilshit.com and coming back to the VPN servers to whatever IP address, they could then look at, inspect. Just keep an eye out on what you're doing. Know that it is not completely secure. What? All right. You got something to talk about with VPNs? No? Okay. Your pseudo-anonymity, that's a hard word to say, pseudo-anonymity, ends as soon as you share any personally identifying information at any site at the other end of the link. Yeah, that's the other thing too. If you go to evilshit.com and you sign up for something and you go, well, my name is Brian Brake. You know, pseudo-anonymity does not protect you if you're using that VPN somewhere else. And you know, if you're using it to get around like geo-blocking for shows or something you want to see in the in the UK or whatever, you still have to have other ways of getting a hold of that information. You may try to create an account for a US based, you know, for like to be able to charge your credit card or whatever. You're still going to need a way to. You're a pain in the ass. You may sign up for a service and you're going to use a US-based credit card or something like that. It's trackable, man. It's trackable. Any personally, yes, web data, cookies, authentication tokens from a session will give you a way to a remote site no matter how carefully or untraceably your network traffic is sent or received. The other thing is tracking pixels. Right? Every site has tracking pixels. Emails have tracking pixels. So even if you're using something like a Proton Mail to send secure communications, you can be tracked if you open that rich text email up with tracking pixels in it, because it's going to send a message. That tracking pixel is going to send a thing back saying, hey, I was loaded on this site at this IP address. And sometimes that's how they get people. They send an email to somebody, I'm going to be on my VPN, I'm going to download my email, and I'm going to get off my VPN, and they look at the email, and there's a tracking pixel, which sends a message out to the internet, to the Fed servers, and it's like, we got that sumbitch, because that's what we were expecting, right? The poisoned apple, if you will. Yeah, so I mean, it's a good write-up. Split tunnels. Yeah, see, the problem with split tunnels, deliberately exempted from the VPN, they can, send data where it shouldn't. That's some of the tunnel vision stuff that came up about that. So anyway, I don't want to harp too much on this. When you're using VPNs, especially when you're talking to family members and they're like, your uncle's like living in Florida, and he's like, how about those VPNs? I hear they're pretty good. And then you can be like, you get your Pornhub somewhere else there, uncle, or something like that. I need to, go to special church websites. No, you don't. You're trying to go to Pornhub. And so, that's, show them this article, show them the part 2 article, tell them everything they need to do. Not shaming them if they want to go to porn sites. I'm just saying, know what to expect. If he's going to sign up for a Pornhub account and he lives in Florida, they may ban him from that. So if he has a membership already from Pornhub or whatever, and he tries to sign up for an account, they may tell him, you can't have an account because you live in Florida. There's other things, tell him to, use a fake name, tell him to get an account with a different email address other than I'm Uncle Bob at gmail.com, that kind of thing. Magic Security Decision, they anonymize the source of your traffic because it emerges from the VPN network servers, not your own, but they can't and don't anonymize the data you choose to send over the VPN. Exactly. VPNs may promise to never keep logs showing where, see, there you go. There's no foolproof way of knowing how reliable such promises are or quite how safe VPN provider's network is against intrusion or snooping by third parties. That's right. And so thank God I hadn't even scrolled all the way down here, so that's pretty good. Thirdly, VPNs can't force all network traffic through their servers if your computer or operating system has been configured either by accident or design, also to let data go out directly from some apps or other online services. Right. Not every service you have that makes a call out is going to cause you some problems. So, sometimes it's better to have a device that has the VPN running on it and then has like a Wi-Fi connection, and then you use the Wi-Fi connection to connect to the VPN box, kind of like a VPN concentrator. The VPN is on here, and any data that goes out That's the only way the data goes out is over a VPN connection. So, yeah. So this is really great, from a privacy point of view, especially if, some of your, corporate folks are swearing by using a VPN for something. Maybe some of them don't know that. Maybe IT doesn't even know how bad it is about data leakage here, inadvertent data leakage. Don't rail against corporate VPN subscriptions. If you're required to connect to a VPN, then to browse indirectly from there, which is likely to be slower and more restrictive, don't find ways around them. Yes, 100%. If you find a site blocked you think you need to use, try to negotiate to have it unblocked rather than sneak past company guidelines. Yes, 100%. Likewise, and this is if you work in IT, if you're a sysadmin or an IT manager, try to be reasonable when users argue for filtering rules to be adapted to suit their business needs. Right. Especially security people, if they are looking at we don't want you to go into .cn sites or .ru sites unless you have a legitimate business need. As a matter of fact, I still argue it's okay to block all of Iran, all of China, all of Russia, all of Uganda. If you don't do business in Uganda and you don't have people who's going to visit you from Uganda, you can probably, cut whole IP ranges. That'll stop people from countries like Russia using VPN service in, not Swaziland, but like South Africa to, get to your service. So if you block Russia, you're going to need to block a lot of other IP addresses too. And you can, you can, look at your firewall logs and go, well, we haven't had any traffic from Belgium in 6 years. So maybe we can block Belgium's IP address range. If you're a multinational corporation, it's obviously not possible, but if you're a smaller, medium business, you could probably block anything outside the US unless you know that you've got, a fan base in outer Mongolia or something. These smaller, medium business things, they don't work as you scale up, but as you're a small business, you can do that. All right, so yeah, Paul Ducklin, respected expert, more than 30 years of experience as a programmer, reverser. Yeah, so he knows what he's talking about. Well respected. This is I wouldn't say a fluff piece for him, but I mean, it's good that they were able to get him get him a byline here, and all of the stuff in here is 100% complete. He's probably tested more VPNs than I've ever used in my life to find all this stuff. So it's excellent. Sorry, Legend. I didn't use Kenya. But I mean, I'm just saying, if Joe's Bait Shop, wants to protect themselves, they probably aren't going. If it's a local business or a mom and pop shop, you could probably get away with banning all of Russia. And all of Russia's IP ranges or all of China's IP ranges, unless somebody just really wants to buy some fishing lures from you or something like that. Anyway. So, kind of going back to that, I think we talked about the 15-year-old that figured out how to de-anonymize even Signal. But, talking about friends who are like, I want to use Proton Mail, how secure is it? I was like, it's secure as long as both people are using Proton Mail. Right? Or Hushmail, I think, is another one I used a long time ago. I think it's still around. Use Java for the... Yeah, there you go. Encrypted email. I got it at the time because I was really on security and shit. And I was like, yeah, I got encrypted email. I'm using Hushmail or whatever. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm sending this to Hotmail accounts. How secure is it, right? And so unless both people are using Hushmail and can actually properly encrypt their stuff, I mean, there's ways around it. If you wanted to write an email in plain text, use something like Keybase. Keybase is still around? Yeah, Keybase. You can, put a PGP key on it and then email that message to somebody with a PGP key that they would then use your key to unlock. This is the only public key cryptography or PGP type solution that I've ever found that is even remotely user friendly. And I will say that unequivocally. Trying to implement PGP at scale is a fucking nightmare. So this works great. This is a great system. I think it's owned by the people who make Zoom, as a matter of fact. They bought it a few years ago. I don't know if they've done much with it, but I mean, they have a tour site if you are like ultra, needing. Oh, they're hiring. Let's see what they're hiring for. Yeah, Keybase has joined Zoom. Please see Zoom careers for more. Yeah, so Zoom bought them. I think Zoom bought Keybase back when the allegations of Zoom saying they were end-to-end encrypted, when in fact it was end-to-end to end to server to end encrypted, and people were like, it don't work like that. And so they were like, oh, well, we better buy some security people. And so let's acquire Keybase. And it's still running. I mean, probably doesn't cost much, but Keybase is completely free, by the way. So if you do want to use it, let's see if they haven't updated their blog since 2020. So it may, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, they went through a crypto phase for a little while. It was stupid. But so they were acquired in 2020, and that's when they stopped doing their stuff. So, but it's still up and running. It's probably secure-ish. They say they use public key cryptography. You generate a key. You can verify who you are on sites like Twitter or whatever, or using DNS servers, kind of like BSky does, where you just put a DNS text in there and then it'll go and verify who you are. The app on the phone is pretty damn decent, or it was last time I used it. I don't use a lot of encrypted comms. Signal's about the only thing that I get like super encrypted comms on. And again, for Signal, the reason they got rid of the SMS part, right? Everybody complained when Signal could no longer send SMS messages. Well, I think it was giving the false impression that Signal was actually encrypting those messages to the SMS folks, but they weren't. They were just sending it over a regular SMS text. So if you want end-to-end encryption, everybody still suggests using Signal for comms if you want to do that. I think that's the only one that has said, F you to any kind of back doors or anything like that. Telegram is, interesting. So yeah, I don't know why I got on this tear. I don't know. But yeah, fucking OpenAI. Nah. China may be about to burst Silicon Valley's AI. You know what? I'm actually okay with that. It's probably some healthy competition. Wall Street is freaking out because, all these companies are probably a bit overvalued. We may see a market correction in the next year or so, which kind of sucks for me because I own Microsoft stock, I own Amazon stock, I own Lumen stock, which had partnered with Microsoft. So they dropped, 15-20%, which isn't a lot because they were a $7 stock. But you're going to take the hit on some of these things. NVIDIA definitely is going to take a hit. Matter of fact, let me go see what the end of the day looked like here. Markets closed here on the West Coast and East Coast for a while, so let me go see what's available. Well, it wasn't terrible today. I lost almost $6,000 in the last couple days, but Lumen is down 7 cents to $5 a share. NVIDIA dropped $5. They're at $123 a share. So Microsoft about $5 a share. So yeah, it's a good time to probably look at other places to invest if you're looking at doing something like that. I'm actually getting into steel and mining because some of the tariffs that are being levied are on steel and imported steel, and there's a couple of companies doing mining operations in the United States still. So looking at getting involved in some of those. Don't take what I say as like advice. Just gonna put that out there. I'm no Kramer or whatever, that guy who yells and says evil shit. So yeah, some companies are going to moderate. They're going to find their way out of it. Iron Mountain, energy companies are probably going to be mostly okay. Yeah, Brookfield Renewable is actually up. So car companies are going to be sucking. Starbucks actually went up 8%. Wow, it's not bad. Good for them. Allied Resource Partners, I think they're a mining company as well. They've been up. So yeah, if they own mines like steel or iron, aluminum, things that are going to help you build cars, I think you're going to see an uptick in those in the next 3 to 6 months, because when the tariffs start kicking in, if they actually do start kicking in, we're importing a lot of that stuff, and if they're importing certain metals, it's going to cost more, right? So they're going to try to find maybe stuff that's in-house in the country to not have to deal with the additional tariffs. So again, just my opinion, shouldn't be taken as legitimate advice. Your mileage may vary. Some assembly may be acquired. Some settling may have occurred during shipment, etc., etc. So, me and a browser. There it is. I don't know this guy, but he's trying to talk around the point. I love it. I love it. Oh my God, that's funny. And you'd be surprised how many places have VPNs. On my phone, Google has a VPN now. How much do you trust Google? How much do you trust, Microsoft's VPNs or, whatever VPNs? If you're in China, yeah, you probably should trust Google as far as they're the lesser of two weevils in this case. Llama and DeepSeek shares are both open source, which means developers have unfettered access to your line. Yeah, so DeepSeek is open source, so you can many eyes in the code and can be audited and whatever. Interesting. Wow. Over the weekend, Zuckerberg committed $60 billion to AI-related capital expenditures this year alone. Boy, whoops. Don't think he's going to get his return on investment for that. Because DeepSeek popped on Monday, right? So he popped $60 billion into it over the weekend, and then here comes DeepSeek, just drop a turd in his particular pool, which I'm okay with. Oh wow, it's 5 o'clock. All right. Let me see. VPNs are not solutions to age verification laws. Oh yeah, that was another article about VPNs from the EFF, Electronic Frontier. Florida joined 18 other states implementing age verification law that burdens Floridians' access to sites that hold adult content. What sucks is that that's the only reason people in Florida are using VPNs. And they lost access to one site, right? So there's no other sites out there that do adult entertainment. The problem is they're looking at enacting a law about having age verification. Tennessee, Louisiana's done it, South Carolina. And so users can no longer access adult websites because of age verification. So you have to do things like scan your driver's license. And to be fair, sites like, adult websites don't want to collect that information. They shouldn't have to, because it will make them a target to being breached. I mean, Pornhub lost 30 million users' credentials. I mean, Pornhub's doing it for security reasons, but for safety reasons too. Look at the blackmail that you could get by having your data leaked, finding out, oh, your significant other has an account on Ashley Madison like websites, and politicians are trying to say children shouldn't have access to this, and that's why we're doing it. But there's another side to this. It's like making the onus on the website to verify that people have an age means that they have to store that data somewhere. They can't keep asking every time, or the websites would have to integrate with various states' DMVs or there'd have to be some way to do age verification, API checks, like, hey, hold your driver's license up to the site. And then of course you have impersonations. Like, what if somebody goes to P0RN hub and it's like, oh, I've got an age verification. So, okay, here's my credit, put your driver's license and credit card up there. And it's like, oh, wait, this isn't the right Pornhub. Oh, crap, here goes all my information. There's so many ways this could go wrong. And I'm not saying Pornhub would do it wrong, because I know that they have security people and they have legitimate security controls in place, but they don't want to collect that information and have to store it somewhere for age verification purposes. I mean, they're already storing credit card information probably when somebody buys a membership there. I'm assuming you can get a membership there. But yeah, this won't be the last time we talk about privacy. Yeah, there's just so much bullshit going on there. So, but yeah, being stuck in, if you visit a site and visit a state where you can't get to your Pornhub, you're gonna have to take matters into your own hands. I can't believe I said that. Oh God, I can't believe I said that. Oh, I wish I could have pulled that off with a straight face. That would have made a great clip. Anyway, so I think I'm gonna go because I'm getting a little hungry. I hadn't expected to be on this long, and I hadn't expected to ramble this much about privacy and VPNs and OpenAI. Actually, big tech can go fuck themselves right now, because that's the way I feel about it. And they get what they ask for. They're trying to build this technology, and they expect it to be isolated, right? They expect it to be intellectual property, but history will show and has shown that they can't protect their own IP. It gets stolen, it gets breached. Somebody clicks on an email and you're owned. Insider threat. I mean, China could have paid people off, or, there's no shortage of ways that China collects this information, or they distilled it, right? Tell me, DeepSeek's like, yes, tell me about yourself. Oh, I love all these things, and here's how I work. And distillation could be a thing. I've never actually seen it happen in real life, but they say it's possible. So that is another security issue in hallucinations, prompt injections, or what are the three things? I forget. Those are the 3 security issues AIs. Maybe I should have the AI tell me. Data privacy breaches. What do they call those? 3 main information security. No, God damn it. I forget. I know that one of them is the prompt injection, the hallucinations where it gives fake information, and then distillation. So that's there's at least 3 or 4 major ones out there. So I think I actually had an OWASP. Did I have an OWASP? Let me see. Where is it? Did I put that in? Understanding, managing. Red teaming guide. Here it is. Top 10. The OWASP Top 10 LLM and Generative AI Security Guide. Please take a look at this if you just even have a passing fancy in Gen AI and ML stuff. There we go. Wait. Let me see. Hey, IT professional. Welcome. Hey, it's good to see you. Good to see you back. Yeah, LLMs, factually, hallucinations, biased outputs, leaking sensitive data, creating inappropriate content, infringing on copyrights, vulnerable to security attacks. Yeah. Yep. Question before you go: does the combination of Tor and VPN work for privacy? I mean, it's layers, right? You could set up a VPN and then run everything over Tor, but again, you probably need to run, a full VPN connection so that you don't have any apps on your computer that is leaking, DNS IP, DNS lookups or anything like that. Seriously, if you're going to run like a privacy kind of thing, you don't want everything running on one box. This is where you want to distribute your privacy. So like a travel router with DDWRT on it, you'd want that DDWRT to VPN into the VPN service that you're running, and then the wireless connection would go to that device, and you would want to make sure that that is set up the same every time, so that when you plug that DDWRT device in, it gets an IP from your wireless, and then the VPN is set up the same way every time. What you don't want is to come in, you're lit up like a Christmas tree, or you're faded, and you're trying to remember how to type everything in on your computer. If you can automate it with a script, that's great. But if you're worried about Tor and you're worried about a VPN, you want to make it so that it's the same way every time and reproducible. Your playbook is always the same, and decentralizing that. And please, if somebody's in here and disagrees with this, please let me know, because I would love to hear a different point of view. Have some other way that you're setting up your infrastructure so that it's the same every time. And maybe test it, make sure your VPN on your DDWRT, your Linksys router or whatever it is that you use is completely and 100% running, and that you're able to, do your VPN properly and then do your Tor. Maybe have a separate laptop for Tor. Have a separate laptop to do all that shit on, and separate things. Like I have work and I have play, and I do not mix them. By the way, that quote, oh, cool. Good one. Thank you, IT professional. There you go. Good article. I would say if you're needing to use Tor and VPN, you have one laptop that does that stuff. So all my work stuff. Now, I will caveat that by saying I have Slack. My personal Slack, my BreakSec Slack is running on my laptop over there, only because if I need to move something over, and I know I'm a poor example, but it's not like, I don't know, you know what? It is a poor example. I should not have my personal Slack running on my work computer. Slack is a very effective exfiltration. I tend to try to just move stuff in, like PCI. So because to pull it back, here's my receipts from my latest work trip, and so I will take photos of these receipts with my phone. I will attach those pictures to my Slack messages on my phone, which will then show up on my laptop here, which I can then go and grab them over here on my work device, so that I don't have to email them to myself and hope that they don't get stripped out by my email system. So I would say it's the only thing I have running over there. I don't log into anything personal on my work device. I don't log into anything work related on my personal device. I don't have work on my phone. If I needed a work phone, I would get a work phone, or I have an iPhone SE over there I can use that I can hook up to Wi-Fi and get email or Octopush or whatever it is that you need. You've got to separate that shit. And the same thing if you're using a VPN and Tor. If you're going to use VPN and Tor shit, get another laptop. Get a piece of shit laptop from thrift store or something. Pay $50 for some piece of shit laptop. Put Linux on it. Put Tails on it. Whatever. Use that. If you burn yourself on that, you can just blow the laptop away and start over and rebuild from scratch. You're not losing your main shit. I would go so far as to not even share data between those two, because if you're on Onion sites, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Dark web stuff, same thing. If you're doing dark web shit, don't do it on the laptop like this. I would never be on the dark web. I'd never run Tor on my new laptop. I would go find a piece of shit laptop, put some Linux on it. That way I can just blow it away, or I can nuke the laptop without any fear of problems. So hope that answers your question there, Legend. Yeah, thanks everybody for listening to me ramble about. And I'm not a privacy professional. I'm just I'm a recovering paranoid infosec person. So I was a bit more crazy back in the day, and I've kind of mellowed a bit. But I'm a recovering paranoid, and so. It is what it is. So I will be back on hopefully Saturday, or you know what? I don't want to say that. I'll be back. I'll let y'all know on the Discord. So join the Discord, and I will let you know when I'm going to be recording again. It's Wednesday. I may be on Friday, but I want to do some more Python stuff. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, talk soon. Y'all have a good day. Bye, y'all.